Update. My girlfriend dated me because of a dare. Original post. My girlfriend, 17 female, and I, 18 male, have been dating for 5 months. Before we started dating, I had a crush on her for roughly a year. It was quite well known, since one of my old friends spilled it directly to her and her friends. They giggled for some time, but she never made a move on me or spoke to me about it. We're just classmates and darn close. For New Year's, she hosted a birthday party for her 17th birthday. I was overjoyed and happily came. It was a great party, though I was mostly off to the side since my old friends were mainly mingling with other people. A few days afterwards, she came up to me and asked me to meet after school. We agreed at a park, to where she confessed she had feelings for me and wanted to be a couple. I was over the moon, and we began dating that day. Our relationship was pretty solid. We didn't get too many fights, but she wasn't all that affectionate, which I was fine with. We never got intimate and mainly did small things like cuddling. Skip to 5 months. She was in my home and in the kitchen making herself a snack. Her phone was buzzing and she asked me to bring it over. Her settings are when you can see the first line of the message, and the phone automatically turns on whenever she receives a notification. I took a glimpse and it was one of her friends. I didn't take a good look, but it read something like, "When is the breakup happening?" which immediately attracted my attention. I unlocked her phone since I knew her password prior, and I read a few more messages where they were talking about a prank they pulled on me. I confronted her about it, and she went silent. After some prodding, she confessed. During her birthday, one of her friends dared her to ask me out. She got guilty when we continued dating for months upon months. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, with a simple date at a restaurant. Now they plan to hook me up with someone and frame me for cheating in the next few weeks, so she has a valid reason to break up with me. It also gave the other girls a chance to spread rumors about me. We got into a huge fight, and I told her to leave and that we are done. It's only been a few hours, and I'm absolutely devastated. I really like this girl, and she decided that it was a fun idea to pull on my heartstrings. I don't know what to do. Her things are still here, so I'm going to put it all in a box and leave it outside. She's been texting me, apologizing and trying to explain herself. I blocked her friends' numbers since they were also harassing me. I haven't blocked her number just yet, since we have to get each other's stuff from the others' houses. After that, I'll be going no contact. Luckily, the school year is almost over and I'm graduating, so I don't have to see her again. Still, I'm really upset. It hurts, man. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. I'm curious about how she's going to explain herself. She dated you on a dare, to toy with your feelings. She planned to frame you for cheating. Her friends were going to spread rumors about you afterwards. They targeted you and planned to devastate you emotionally, then ruin your reputation. Why? What possible excuse could they give? Crappy teenager games, that is all, but feelings can be caught. How do I know? Had the same game played on me in 1998. Anyhow, now married to her and happy. It may have started as a game, but may not have ended as one. But how could you still have feelings for someone who was so ready to play with and break someone's heart? Also, not a game. This is just plain bullying. Because maybe she really wanted to date him, but the only way she saw her crappy friends accepting it is if it was a prank. People are weird. Bro, you'll get better, girlfriend, trust me. Just focus on yourself and please talk to someone like your friend. But what if it's like can't buy me love and she really likes him now? She should have told her friends to drop the nonsense. I doubt if she likes him, that the conspiring of a breakup would have continued. I'm sorry they put you through this, but you must protect yourself from all of them. And for that, you must capture and record every messages, /mails, /vocal messages, /phone calls, in case they want to spread rumors that will destroy your reputation. Those kinds of girl have no moral or conscience. They're heartless. You don't have to blame yourself or anything. Unfortunately, too many stupid people like them don't find anything else to do than making fun of others. They are empty people, so don't let them have power on you. It's not because that idiot date with you for this disgusting reason will mean you can't date someone who will really care and have true feelings for you. They're trash, and thank God you caught her and her friends, so protect yourself from their actions. Yes, do this, please. Make sure everyone knows what these girls did. Also, is not making fun of Opie. They're literally ruining his life and playing with his heartstrings. That is messed up on many levels, and honestly, they should be in jail for this. Now for the updates. I woke up to see dozens of comments and hundreds of likes. Never would I ever expect people to be interested in my love life. LMAO. I read some comments and I'm screenshotting her confession to what she and her friends did. Only if things go south. I'm like guaranteed her friends are gonna pull something, so I'm gonna prepare. I'm praying I'm able to get my things back without a problem. My guitar is at her place. I ain't leaving that behind. Now for the full update. I honestly didn't expect to post an update so soon, but since I did agree to pick up my things today while also dropping hers off, I don't know why I expected nothing to happen. A lot of you pointed out about she may have fallen in love with me during our relationship. It doesn't matter if she did or not. She broke my trust, and I'm no longer attracted to her after yesterday. She allowed her friends to talk trash about me and plotted to destroy my reputation. She's weak-minded, and I'm not going to further date someone who will pick their awful friends over their romantic interest. Do I feel bad? A little, but I tried warning her and she did not listen. Now on to the actual update. So I went to my ex's house with a friend of mine, since in no way in hell I'm going there alone. It was right before school. I didn't see my things outside, so I rang the doorbell. Her father came out and handed my things while I gave him her things. He asked if I had cheated on her since she's crying in her room about it. So, yeah, more of you were right about them spreading rumors and trying to blast me. I explained I didn't, and even showed the screenshots I had on my phone. I ended up sending him through his phone number. He thanked me and said he'll take a look at it. I told him if he didn't believe me through this, then look at her phone. My friend and I left to go back home and get ready for school. I'm happy I got my guitar back, since it's really the only thing I valued. After school, I got a call from my ex's dad. He apologized for the accusations and found a group chat of the girls and the hookup plans. He said he was going to punish his daughter and find these friends' parents. He got their names already, and he's prodding my ex to know where they live. I told him he could use my screenshots as evidence to back me up. Props to the dad for being calm about this. That's really all that happened. I know her dad and he's a scary man. He's 6 feet in build. He can be very intimidating. And I know my ex will give up the information. It's only a matter of time the girls will fall. I'll be keeping an eye out since I have a week left of school. If anything happens, I'll post another update. I'm not interested in finding their socials and seeing if they already started spreading the whole cheating rumors. I'm sure they did. However, everything was fine at school, but now it's the weekend, so I may receive some backlash when I return. I honestly don't care. I already got accepted into a college, and I'm ditching this place. I just need to survive a week in graduation. My ex's dad will do all the heavy work. Kudos to ex's dad for handling it like a pro. Not many believe others over their own children, even after proofs. Glad things worked out well in the end for you. Cheers. Tells you a lot if the dad believed his daughter is capable of gaslighting and slander. He must have seen things while she was growing up. Not to mention he was Opie's age once and put himself in his shoes. He seized the opportunity to raise a daughter in this world, suitable to date and eventually marry. He also saw the opportunity to vindicate Opie. Well done. Out them before they out you. Let everyone know that they were going to ruin your reputation and possibly your future for fun and giggles. No one would want to risk catching jail time because these girls were bored and framed them for fun and giggles. Also, why is she crying? She was fine trying to frame you and ruin you. Probably caught actual feels in the process, or maybe even had actual feels from the start, but wasn't able to admit it to her friends. No one stays in a fake relationship for 5 months on a dare. Your last sentence shows exactly what you should be doing. Staying silent to your peers, talk to the adult that wanted to talk, and allowing the effects of her decision catch up to her. Little did you know it could turn out this way, but boy will she never forget. Good for you for being calm, detached, and level-headed while looking to the future. Remember, if you don't speak about this at school, mystery surrounds you and you have the power. Speak one word, and you lose it through the telephone game. Keep holding your head up high. Very impressed and glad you're going to make a really good boyfriend to someone that is authentically compatible with you. Cheers to college as well. You got this. Next story. The girl that rejected me is now stalking me, and it's getting creepier every day. This all started about a month ago. There was this girl, let's call her Sarah, 20, who I, male 19, had a huge crush on. We had some classes together in college, and even studied together sometimes. One day, I mustered up the courage to ask her out on a date, but she turned me down, something about not wanting to ruin our friendship. I was a bit hurt, but respected her decision and tried to move on. Everything seemed normal for the first week or so after that, but then I started noticing Sarah everywhere. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence. Maybe we had more common interests than I initially thought. Like, what are the chances, right? But as the time went on, this became clear that this was more than just chance encounters. Sarah would be waiting outside my classes, claiming that she needed to talk to our mutual professor, a professor who is pretty close to me and I look up to. She would show up at my favorite coffee shop just minutes after I arrived. She even accidentally bumped into me at the grocery store multiple times. The creepiest part, whenever we crossed paths, she would give me this intense stare that sent chills down my spine, instead of just talking to me about anything. I started getting paranoid and decided to confront her about it one day when she showed up at a library where I was studying alone. She acted surprised and denied everything, but there was something off about her reaction, like she was hiding something. Things got worse from there. One night, as I returned to my apartment after hanging out with friends, I noticed that my door was slightly ajar. My heart raced as I entered my home and discovered that someone had been inside. Nothing appeared to be stolen, but there were subtle signs of intrusion. Some of my belongings had been moved around or misplaced, as if whoever broke in didn't plan on stealing but rather tried to find something for me. Then came the messages. Random texts from unknown numbers containing vague threats and warnings. You should have given her a chance. She's not the one you should have rejected. She's watching you. These messages don't even make sense, because if it's the person I'm thinking, then I wasn't the one who rejected her. Anyways, I tried blocking the numbers, but that was pointless as new ones would always appear. So, I changed my numbers, and I even went to the police. But without any solid evidence or proof, they couldn't do much to help me, as they suggested. If the text is only evidence, then just change your phone number, as someone can just be pranking you. However, I haven't told anyone about anything as I didn't want to look dumb, because they will just say it's chances. Now, every day is a constant state of unease and fear. I've tried changing my routine and avoiding places where I might run into her, but she still finds me. I can't shake the feeling that she's always watching me, lurking in the shadows, as cringy as those sounds. I'm not sure what she wants or why she's doing this, as I tried talking about this with her already. All I know is that it's getting creepier by the day, and I'm not sure how much more I can take. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Any advice on how to deal with a stalker who used to be a friend? Edit. Let me provide some background context. Sarah and I have been friends for only a month. However, I started developing feelings for her due to her kindness. She helped me study for our class together and seemed to be the smartest in our class. We usually studied at my apartment. Sarah was aware that my door could sometimes be jammed, making it difficult to lock or unlock. I reported this issue when I first moved in, but nothing was done about it. As a result, I would avoid leaving any valuables in my apartment. Now for the comments. I would check around your apartment to make sure she didn't stick a camera somewhere if she was the one who broke in. How creepy. Sorry this is happening to you. I think there's some info online or YouTube that helps you check areas for hidden cameras. I think mostly to help people with Airbnb and such. Opie, maybe you can have your friend tail you a bit and try to get a video of her stalking you? I suggest setting up some cameras yourself to be safe. If this is real, that's effing scary. I'm sorry this is happening to you. Please do check for cameras and maybe an AirTag or other type of tracking device. When she bumps into you, are you carrying or wearing something you wear all the time? If you have a car, check it for a tracking device too. Could even be an app she installed on your phone or some location sharing SM app. If you do find something, leave it as is and go straight to the police so they can figure out who put it there. Take care of yourself. If you have an Android phone, you can download the AirGuard app. It's a free and open source app developed for research by a German university that monitors for tracking devices like AirTags that rely on connecting momentarily via Bluetooth to random supported phones to send tracking information. It scans periodically for tracking devices and will alert you if it detects the same tracking device near you in multiple locations in a certain time frame, and can connect to AirTags and play a noise on them to aid in finding nefariously hidden ones. You might have to fiddle with settings to get it to not be put to sleep by Android, trying to save battery. But it alerts me about the AirTag I put in my own truck almost every day on my way home from work. I would start keeping a record of where you are when you see her and snap a picture to time and dates everything. I would start recording every conversation with her, especially the ones when you're asking her why she's there and for what reason. Especially if it's somewhere not necessarily commonplace. Definitely check your apartment for listening devices and cameras. If you find none, it's time to put up some of your own, especially around windows or doors where you can see who's lurking around you. If she's watching you, you might be able to see her car parked outside or literally hiding in bushes. If your apartment is higher off the ground, then focus on public streets that can still be legal to record. Most importantly, you need to tell someone you think she's stalking you, even if they think you're crazy. Ask them to observe her patterns of behavior if they know her. And if you don't, establish a safe word or code to use if you're in trouble or if she starts to pretend to be someone important in your life. She could start to turn others on you if she gets the first word, so don't let her. You need to start this conversation with evidence first before she does. Otherwise, it could be harder to defend yourself later on. Mini update. I have read your comments and I haven't found any hidden cameras in my place. If there is one, it's hidden so well that I can't find it. I cannot explain her behavior after all this, since I am not a psychological professional. I've heard stories about men being rejected and then stalking their love interest or ex-partner, but I've never encountered a situation like this. For now, that's all the information I have to share. Am I the a-hole for ruining my brother's proposal and refusing to clear his name until he gives me half the money for my wedding? I, 35 male, admit to being a spiteful person when pushed, but I want to know if I'm truly the a-hole when I gave multiple and explicit warnings as to deter my vengeance. I have a younger brother, Todd, 29 male, who had a complicated birth and had to stay a month in the ICU. And because of that, my parents have always doted on him and almost denied him nothing, even if it was to the detriment of my sister Abby, 32 female, and I. My brother drinks in on the attention and has on more than one occasion made himself the center of attention at either my sister's, or a cousin's special event. Because of this, Abby and I have a strained relationship with Todd and our parents. Unfortunately, Todd met and fell in love with Lucy, 24 female, who announced her own pregnancy at the baby shower my mom held for Abby. When I proposed to my wife Michelle, 30 female, I just wanted to elope. But she really wanted her family to be there, so I invited my family out of obligation. While out, my best man, Jim, 35 male, noticed a receipt from a jewelry store slipped out of Todd's pocket. Jim confronted Todd about this, which led to an argument. Jim told me everything, and I told Todd that he was no longer going to be a groomsman because I knew he was going to propose at my wedding. Todd cried to our parents, which led to a blowout. In my parents' eyes, since Todd never admitted that he was going to propose to Lucy at my wedding, I was unfairly judging him. I refused and brought up Todd's past behavior. My parents couldn't refute this and got Todd to agree to not try anything at my wedding. This wasn't enough to convince me to let him be a groomsman, but I warned him that if, as a guest, he'd try anything, I would make him regret it. Fast forward to the wedding, and surprise, surprise, Todd walked over to Lucy and proposed to her during Michelle's father-daughter dance, and did it in a way so that everyone would notice. Cue my revenge. Jim and I had hired a woman to pretend to be Todd's side piece who cornered Todd and Lucy, and claimed that she was pregnant with his baby. Todd denied this, but when she called his phone, as I gave his number and messed with Todd's phone to incriminate him, it didn't look good. Lucy threw the ring back at Todd and left in tears. When Todd saw the smile on my face, he knew that it was me, and I didn't respond to a single call/text from him or my parents until after the honeymoon. Lucy has thrown Todd's stuff out and has been denying access to their kid. Todd is furious and is demanding that I clear his name. I sent him a text saying that I had no idea what he was talking about, as well as a screenshot of a bill for the wedding, and gave a vague message demanding reimbursement for half of the wedding costs. Michelle knew the whole time what I was planning and gave me the green light after Todd ruined her moment with her dad, so I felt pretty good. But now even Abby thinks I went too far. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add because I keep seeing this and/or people were asking questions. 1. I warned Todd multiple times that if he proposed at my wedding, I would make him regret it. 2. In this scenario, Abby is my sister and Lucy is Todd's girlfriend. 3. During the father-daughter dance, there was a spotlight on Michelle and her dad with a camera on them that was recording live on a large screen for everyone to see. Todd pulled Lucy out and knelt down right in the eye line of the camera, and that's how everyone saw. 4. In specific situations, I can see an argument of Lucy being innocent, but she's not innocent overall. As stated previously, Lucy announced her own pregnancy at Abby's baby shower, so she likes to steal the attention too. Now for the comments. You're the a-hole and Todd is also an a-hole. Lucy and their kid are innocent. This is a cruel revenge. You could have done something that only hurts Todd. I agree with Abby that you went too far. What if Lucy was crazy and unalive Todd and herself and her baby? This stuff happens on the news very often. I'll give you their child, but Lucy is just as much an attention hog as Todd. She made Abby's baby shower all about her when she announced her own pregnancy. You could have done something less harmful but have the same effect on him, like hiring a bunch of granny strippers to show up at their wedding or something like that. I seriously doubt that that would have the same effect as what I did. Everyone sucks here. I really wanted to say not the a-hole, but this is a bit much, only because there's a kid involved, and your brother isn't able to see it. It seems inevitable that at some point, you're going to have to come clean to help repair that relationship, and then Todd is going to seem like a total victim. And he and Lucy will be vindicated to keep acting entitled, which really sucks. I wonder if they're adult enough to sit down and have a proper discussion where everyone can apologize. Our parents have spent too many years making excuses for Todd for him to ever give a genuine apology. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying no to be a bridesmaid to my childhood best friend for being engaged to my ex? So Jane, 29 female, and I, 29 female, have known each other since we were in middle and high school together. She went to college in California while I went to college in Georgia. During college, Jane and I visited each other. She's younger than me, so I flew to LA for her 21st birthday and we always met up when we were home, etc. My junior year, I met Kyle, senior at the time. After he graduated, he moved to New York City for a job. While I was not intending on staying on the East Coast, I ended up also moving to New York City, partially to be with him. Then Kyle decided he wants a change of pace and wants to move to LA. We talked a lot about it. I asked if he could wait 6 months and move together since I just got promoted. He found a job and he moved to LA in May of that year instead of waiting. It's worth noting that Jane had moved to LA January of that year. I'm not sure at what point Jane and Kyle got together. They were already familiar with each other because of all the times Jane had visited and the times when I brought Kyle home. Kyle and I started fighting a lot more. I was stressed and frustrated. And that August, we broke up. Kyle and I kept talking and he decided he didn't like LA and was going to move back to New York City. Then COVID hits, and I find out that they may be together through friends. I asked Jane about it, and she said they were just hanging out a lot because he was still new and didn't have a lot of friends. Jane was constantly posting stories on Instagram and they looked too close to be just friends. So I didn't believe her. She kept saying they're just friends, and I unfollowed both of them on Instagram and neither of them said anything. Jane and I haven't really talked since everything happened. And now they're engaged. Jane asked me to be a bridesmaid and I said no. I felt it would be a little uncomfortable for me. I felt Kyle had been stringing me along while he was in LA and I feel awkward that they weren't honest about it from the beginning. But Jane is saying I can bring my current boyfriend as my +1 and Kyle agreed with her. Now she and my sister both think I'm overreacting and should just say yes. So am I the a-hole for saying no? Not the a-hole. It really sounds like he may have cheated on you with your best friend. At the very least, they got together soon after you two broke up. They kept the relationship from you and lied about it. This isn't an episode of Friends where everything can be hunky-dory. I don't know too many people that would be comfortable in this situation outside of a sitcom or rom-com movie. Yep, they want Opie there so they can pretend they did nothing wrong to everyone else. Not the a-hole. I think you are very correct. And her having to explain why you weren't there might make them uncomfortable, even for a little bit. Not the a-hole. Not only is it weird they both want you there after all that's happened, but to be a bridesmaid on top of it as well? If she is a bridesmaid, it means she's validated their relationship and forgiven them. They may not be fully conscious of it, but it might be a part of their reasoning. Some no harm, no foul mental gymnastics. Yep, it's all about the optics. They will likely pressure Opie more because she's saying no, and if she isn't there, they can't pretend she's okay with it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for uninviting my dad to my wedding because he took back the money he promised? I want to be clear that this is not about money. I know no one owes us money, but he promised and it is about his reasoning. My fiancé and I are currently planning a wedding, and my mom got herself uninvited as we found out she had made some jokes behind our back about my fiancé's appearance/style and saying she was never going to be anything more than a stay-at-home mom. I was furious and uninvited her. A couple of people told me I was being an a-hole as it was a one-time thing. She said not thinking it would get back to us. Also, she was tipsy, maybe a bit drunk. My dad, they aren't married, recently found out she wasn't going to be there and confronted me. He said what she said wasn't nice, but realistically, people talk crap and gossip, and I should give her the chance to apologize and move on. I explained that I can't let someone who feels that way come to our wedding, and he said I was being ridiculous. He said he was no longer going to pay for our wedding if I was going to treat my mom like that. I decided to uninvite him too, as I feel he's no longer a supportive person. My fiancé was privy to this conversation and is obviously hurt. She doesn't want him there either, so I feel the need to support her. But now my dad and his wife are telling everyone how we feel entitled to their money and how arrogant we are for uninviting everyone who disagrees with us. I feel slightly weird about it because obviously he doesn't have to pay for our wedding. Now for the top comments. I do think yours is a bit of an extreme reaction and definitely about the money. But I also have to wonder if your mom hasn't tried to apologize in between her crap talking and you finding that out. Part of me believes that if she really wanted to make it up and actually felt guilty, she would have already done that. So everyone sucks here, I guess. She apologized, but it was a crappy apology. She was like, I shouldn't have said that, so sorry. But don't be a baby because we all know she makes fun of me as well. Does she? Yes, to be honest. But at least she has the sense not to do it in a crowd where it is going to get back to my mom. Newsflash, if your mom knows, it's getting back to her. You're the a-hole for taking such extreme action every time a guest does anything remotely wrong surrounding your wedding. Yes, it's your wedding and you can invite and disinvite whoever you want. And yes, standing up for your fiancé is the right thing to do. However, at least from the way you wrote this, it seems you don't have any kind of conversations with people before deciding they're out. And not just any person, but your mother and father. You're like the soup Nazi from Seinfeld. You just stand there and go, no more wedding for you. Next. Heh, it's quite immature. Your mother shouldn't have spoken ill about your fiancé. But is she willing to apologize? Is she remorseful? Edit, mother-in-law did apologize. Unless she has a history of being mean to you/your fiancé, I think making her miss her child's wedding for a one-off comment is extreme. Edit. It turns out it's the other way around, and the fiancé has a history of talking crap about mother-in-law behind her back. LMAO. Your father shouldn't have held money over your head. But the funny thing is that he is doing for your mother the same thing you're doing for your fiancé, even though they aren't married. He is reacting extremely to you wronging her and going nuclear with no more wedding money for you. You and your fiancé sound very immature. And while standing up for her is right, you have to be careful to analyze if this isn't her subtly isolating you from your family. Edit, I'm now more sure than ever that fiancé is using this wedding for a power move and isolating OP from his parents. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling my fiancé a trigger-happy loon and threatening to cancel our wedding? Me, 27 male, and my fiancée Lizzie, 27 female, are finally getting to planning our wedding after putting it off for an entire year. And I'm not kidding when I say this. It has been a nightmare. Lizzie has gone full-on bridezilla. I get that wedding planning is hard as I'm literally doing it, but she has legitimately gone off the freaking rails. She's been snapping at family members, threatening to uninvite them at every turn. The other day, my parents called me and told me that Lizzie had uninvited them from the wedding. And of course, I was freaking angry. She didn't even have the gall to tell me herself. Was she just thinking I wouldn't find out? Oh, and you want to know why she uninvited them? They didn't like the flowers she picked. And I say she picked, because she didn't tell me about that either. I confronted her yesterday asking her why she tried to uninvite my parents, and we got into a huge argument over it, with her yelling at me asking why I was still supporting my parents after they showed such disrespect towards her. I asked her why the hell she has been making all of these decisions without even consulting me first, and she said that it was her wedding, so she should be able to make all the decisions. We have never had a fight like this before. I was at my wit's end, especially after she called me a controlling piece of crap. So I snapped and called her a trigger-happy loon. And if she wanted a wedding all about her, she could marry herself, because I was so freaking done. She stormed out of the house, insulting me with every step. She got in the car and drove to her parents' house, and she's been there since the fight. I called my sister sobbing and told her what had happened. She agrees that Lizzie was way out of line, but that we should try reconciling. Lizzie refuses to speak to me until she gets an apology. But I don't think I'm in the wrong. It's my wedding too. But she acts like I'm just a decorative piece of her special day. But I'm really starting to feel horrible. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I know a running joke on Reddit is instantly giving the advice you should break up. But if this were me, I'd be thankful this side of her was exposed before we said I do. And I'd run very far away from this pile of red flags in the shape of a human woman. Exactly. Not the a-hole. You should thank the heavens you got to see the side of her before the wedding. Trust me, it'll only get worse. Think about major life events and how she'll act if she's acting like this during your wedding. She is a nightmare and will continue to be a nightmare. Think about how you want the rest of your life to play out and make the best decision for yourself. You've received a blessing in the shape of a bridezilla. This, buddy, in real life, every bride I've ever known who has gone bridezilla has made the entire marriage about them. Their wants, their desires, their dreams. You'll be but a player in her narcissistic bubble. A wedding is about both of you and should reflect both of you. People shouldn't be uninvited unless it's for some pretty significant reasons like abuse, not just because they have a difference of opinion from the bride. She disrespected you and your entire family by uninviting your parents. Over flowers. Over flowers you didn't get to have an opinion on. Trust me when I say that she is showing who she truly is. She has a lot of growing up to do and needs to learn that the world doesn't revolve around her before a wedding should even be discussed. Honestly, put the brakes on the wedding. Postpone it while you figure out what you want, and insist on a real couples counseling from a real marriage and family therapist before setting a new date, to ensure the big glaring issues are resolved before committing one more date to someone dropping with selfishness. I fully agree. We internet strangers cannot tell you, OP, if your relationship is worth saving. But for sure you need to put the wedding planning on pause until things cool down. The question is, why is your fiancé behaving this way? Blaming the bridezilla is easy, but it'd be useful for you to understand where her behavior comes from. Is she afraid? And being 100% in control is the coping strategy she opted for. Does she feel social pressure to have the perfect wedding and she's actually overwhelmed? Or is she simply a witch and you now only found out? Only you can tell, OP. Not the a-hole. Run. I asked her why the hell she has been making all of these decisions without even consulting me first. She said that it was her wedding, so she should be able to make all the decisions. Run far, far away. Stop threatening to cancel the wedding, and just cancel it. Save yourself the divorce, and the ramification of potentially having children with this person. Lol, if it's her wedding and only hers, who is she marrying?
I left my country just to avoid paying child support to a child that isn't mine. 18 years ago, I came to know that my son wasn't mine. He was 3 when I found out my wife cheated on me with my friend. I was devastated. It is as if my whole world just crashed. My best friend, who I thought was my well-wisher, betrayed me the worst possible way. Needless to say, we got divorced, and my ex didn't suffer any consequences. The court doesn't care if the kid is your biological child or not. You have to pay for child support. My ex was vindictive, so she intentionally quit her job so that she could get more money. After 6 months of this, I reached my breaking point. At that time, a work friend of mine joked that I should just leave this country. That's when it hit me. I am not going to spend the next 15 years of my life caring for the bad decisions my ex made. I started to plan my exit. I took out all the money from my bank account, quit my job, and sold my car. I also sold some of my belongings. I never said a word to anyone except for my mom. She knows where I am, and I am 100% sure she won't snitch. The last thing I said to my ex was, I would rather die than pay a single penny to you via text. From there, I boarded my flight and went to a country further away where they cannot find me. For the sake of my privacy, I will not mention which country. But let's just say I came to country A by plane, and from there I journeyed by road to a nearby country. It is a third world country with a lot of greeneries. It wasn't that hard, considering if you bribe the border guards, they will let you in the country. From there, I started to teach English in a primary school in a village. I was mostly traveling every 6 months because staying one place at a time could be dangerous. I changed my name and also all my documents. There were some official documents that I couldn't because they ask for your passport number. I still work as a teacher, but on the side I have a small side business. I am married to the most amazing and kindest woman I have ever met, and together we have 2 daughters. Now, aside from my mom, my wife also knows about my past life, and she has been really supportive of me. The people in this country have accepted me as their own. They always come forward to help us. This country might be behind in many things, but I do not lack anything. I do not live a lavish life here, but I can get whatever I want if I spend money. Literally, there is a guy for everything. I do miss my home country, my mom, my brother, and my friends. I miss the life I used to have, but I know I cannot go back right now. I do not have social media. I just have one Facebook where I do not post anything, rather than stalk my friends and family to keep up what they are doing. I do sometimes visit my ex's and ex's son's profile. That kid is doing well and studying in med school. I am happy for him and also proud of him too. I don't know if my ex is still married or single, but every so often she would mention how I walked out of her life, how hard it was for her to raise her son. To them, I am just a ghost. Maybe some people just accepted that I ended myself. But I am happy with my life now. I know people will call me selfish. That how can I do this to a child? He is innocent. I don't care. I am not willing to pay money for a kid that isn't mine, and I was deceived into playing the role of his father. I do not blame him at all. I blame his mom. Also, I do not encourage people to follow my path, but I will advise guys to take a paternity test before signing any birth certificate. I wish paternity fraud cases were taken seriously. Now for the top comments. She quit her job for more paying support for her. This part is just so vindictive. Well aware that you're not a father, to quit so she gets the most of her ill-gotten gain. And now playing the role of martyr when the father may still be around. This woman has so much audacity she has to be stealing it from others. For your information, if you moved originally from the US, there is a statute of limitations on child support orders in most states. Check what state you came from and what theirs is. For example, in Colorado, it is 20 years. In Texas, it is 10 years from the time the child is 18, and California is none. This is if there was a valid court order for child support. If you just disappeared, there might not even be a court order for child support, so you could check that as well. From where I am, it is when the child turns 18. I did check a few days ago because I was feeling homesick. I miss my mom and my brother, but still I don't know how to face any of them. I don't know if my ex could somehow find a loophole and sue me for child support. I know she would try to find a way. Can't your mom and brother meet up with you? I'm still looking at my options. Do you still keep in touch with your mom if she knows where you are? Nope. I talked to her last 6 years ago. She said she will be moving soon. She did give me her new number. We talked through emails. Emails have hidden header data that might reveal your local internet service provider and identify the country or region that you are located in, by the way. I use my wife's email though. I know that still doesn't keep me safe, but my mom is anything but a snitch. I don't think the police is tapping into her server or email just to get me. They have bigger crimes to solve. Some of these folks are nuts. You want the guy to be roped into a relationship with a child that isn't biologically his, with an ex that is vindictive, paying child support on a child that isn't yours for the next 2 decades? Not to mention the craziness that will ensue with this worthless woman. It makes sense to these people for this man to endure this for a large portion of his life. For what? Because the child knows him? Sounds to me like the fellow doesn't like being railroaded and found a solution. But it's not like you had to sacrifice anything to do so, am I right? Gotta love these armchair quarterbacks and their 2020 hindsight vision to tell you how you should have handled an extreme situation they are not involved in. I'm glad you escaped that insanity. I'm just sorry that poor child was born to such an awful woman. I wish that kiddo all the luck in the world. Next story. My wife has been lying to me for 3 years about her daughter. Rather a long story here. So I'm in the military. I'm married and have 5 kids. What a life, right? Towards the end of 2019, I returned from a deployment after my wife had our 3rd child. 2020 hit, COVID struck, and I found myself at home more than I guess my wife wanted. While I was deployed, she became friends with the wife, and subsequently the husband as well. Back to 2020, my wife and I fought a lot because she was spending 106 to 140 hours a week at their house. Meanwhile, I was working the gates from April through June. I noticed the relationship my wife and the husband had wasn't normal, and I wasn't okay with it. Obviously, this was a point of contention because I was telling her how and who she should spend her time with. We fought a lot, but from my end, I was angry because it seemed like she didn't want to spend time with me. As it would turn out, my wife got drunk and slept with my neighbor's husband, got pregnant, and early 2021, her daughter was born. Our newborn has multiple medical issues, which caused her to be in the hospital for 3-ish months. All the while, I had to regularly duty and watch my other 3 kids while she was at the NICU. Long short of it, over the next 14 months, I was moved to another post, but they couldn't come because of our daughter. We fought over time, from sexting to how to raise our kids. And when I took a leave, we fought over her new collection of private toys I found by accident. Eventually, in 2022, I was able to relocate back to them. Oh, did I mention while on shore leave, we conceived our 5th kid? Yeah, yikes. So I'm back home and things are going a bit better after our 5th is born. Come mid-2023, I find a flash drive hidden carefully in a box of Diva cups in my wife's cabinet. Against my better judgment, I decided to go through it. Inside, I found multiple pictures she has backed up from her phone, to include pictures of the kids' vacations, holidays. I also found some photos I hadn't been sent. Spicy photos, and a screenshot of a text revealing my 4th kid wasn't mine. My wife had known. She had also been sexting my neighbor's husband, sending nudes and such, and had been inviting him over to see his daughter. As I looked and looked through the pictures and the dates, I realized she had been taking her to secret rendezvous while I had been back home, or had him in our house to see her. It has been almost 3 months since I found out. I'm still in disbelief that this is real. When I found out, the first thing I wanted to do was wrap my car around a tree. Thankfully, 2 of my squad members put everything in perspective for me. Even still, my mind is constantly split, and paranoia controls my thoughts if I'm not vigilant. I ask why questions a lot, but she doesn't have answers. And I really don't think if she did, they would make me feel better. I feel like a joke. I feel disrespected for everything I've done for my family. It hurts when I look at my daughter, knowing she won't know and didn't ask for this. Anyway, that's my story. One that only 3 people actually know. I hope and pray no one would ever have to feel the way I do. If this dude is also in the military, can't he be in trouble for cheating on his wife? Conduct unbecoming or something like that? Way ahead of you. Get DNA testing on all your kids. And dump all of your alcohol in your home. Are you planning on telling your neighbor's wife about all of this mess? If I found out not only did my spouse cheat, but had a kid and kept it a secret from me, it would mean divorce. Are you just gonna play happy family now and keep the wife in the dark? Yes, through some form of freaky magic, she was informed, given all the details on digital format. What she did after, I could care less. Like I said, it has been almost 3 months. A lot has transpired that I didn't post. In the past, at several different times, I have made friends with several different women that were different armed forces wives. From my understanding of everything they talked about, fidelity is the rarity. Most of them cover for each other. I advise everybody who's in the military to get DNA testing on all of your children. The chances of them being yours is relatively low. It's crazy, because I would meet these women, they would brag all about the things they were doing. And later, when their husband was in town, they would invite him to hang out with me and other friends who all know they are cheating on them. It's really awkward. Same experience when I was dating a Marine. Made me sick to hang out with his friends, who would go outside to grill and leave me in the house with these women. They all were cheating and laughing about it together, showing each other pictures. After my ex and I broke up, though we remained friends, his other guys were doing the same stuff outside while grilling. It's almost like it's an agreement they all have. Very strange. As a former military spouse, I can attest to this. I married a stereotypical service member when I was 19. We really were the textbook stupid young couple. We all make mistakes. Being a military wife was almost the most isolating experience of my life. I'm thankful that I worked and went to university. That was my saving grace. Almost every wife I met was asking what I planned for when my husband is gone, meaning who I had on the back burner. It left me with 2 military wife friends whom I could trust from each place. Given that we moved a couple times, I ended up with a healthy handful. However, to hear those other wives talk, especially those of the senior enlisted and officers, it was disgusting. They were so different when their husbands were around. I always thought there was no way the husbands were that oblivious. I was grateful the guys regularly received STD testing, being in combat MOSs. And these same women had the audacity to get angry over simple interactions. For example, a lower enlisted soldier asked me if I could make the brownies I made a week prior of his birthday coming up. I said sure, why not, and baked them the night before his birthday in a disposable foil pan for my husband to take to work. The next day, my phone blew up with angry messages from his wife. Or another SNCO's wife who quite literally cussed me out at hers and her husband's barbecue because I said, I hope you wanted turkey on your sliders because that's how I made them. To cheat so boldly then be so trivially angry, I've never understood. Just make it make sense. Last story. I left home because my wife favors our deadbeat son over me. I just walked out of my house with my belongings, leaving behind 20 years of marriage and 3 kids, 18 male, 15 male, and 14 male. All of this because my wife would rather shield my oldest son than teach him about life. My oldest son, Alex, has always been a handful. He was never a good student, had behavior issues like going to parties and coming back drunk. I'd try to set him straight, but my wife always coddled him. I put him on various forms of punishment, but she would always go talk to him, offering support. This year, he graduated high school without getting into any colleges. I saw it coming, but my wife held on to hope. I sat him down and told him that if he wanted to keep living with us, he needed to work. He did manage to get a job, but got fired after a month. Now it's been like 6 weeks he claims he's looking for a job and can't find one, and I don't believe him. Last week, he dropped a bombshell that his girlfriend is pregnant. I was furious. He doesn't have a job, and now he's making his girlfriend pregnant? I decided to kick him out, but my wife wouldn't allow it, saying we'd be abandoning him in his toughest time, and because of her, I backed down. But then last night, Alex came home drunk, and he's not even old enough to drink legally. I couldn't take it anymore, and told my wife to choose between him and me. Today, we argued again and I left home. I work 10 hours a day and have a 3-hour commute. I'm exhausted, and I won't be supporting an adult son who doesn't work, along with his girlfriend and baby. I'm going to rent a place, and if any of the younger kids want to live with me, they're welcome. But Alex, I'll only talk to him once he shows he's become a real man. Get legal advice. Leaving the marital home may leave you in a bad spot financially if ever a divorce is to occur. To be honest, his youngest son is 14, so if a divorce happens, any child support will be very temporary. At that age, custody is symbolic more than anything else. Kids can choose with who to live. Alimony is a bigger issue in this case, but that is regardless of whether he leaves or not. In Canada, where I'm from, 20 years is a long-term marriage. That could mean spousal support is indefinite. Don't know what the laws are where OP is from. But if divorce happens, it could be very complicated even with the children being older. My mom was like this with my brother. Only saw him as her darling angel who could do no wrong. Seriously messed up. Now he's a subcontractor, new baby, mortgage beyond his capacity because of interest rate rises, and mom is still helping him. Like when mom's money runs out, he is in for one hell of a life lesson. As bitter as I am, man, if I got the money he has got over the years, I'd be laughing. I at least know how to figure out problems on my own and live and make choices knowing I don't have a safety net. He could sell his boat, go full-time so he had to leave, buy a cheaper car, reduce his expensive hobbies, work more? But nope. Mom is paying his mortgage. Make sure golden child brother knows that when mom's money faucet dries up, you're not going to step up to fill in the gap. He'll be on his own. You have to let your children fail and get back up again. You can't just rush in and save the day every time something doesn't go their way or pan out. It's hard as heck to watch it happen, but the only way to learn some lessons is to get it wrong. Having kids has given me a new appreciation for my parents, to be honest. I was an a-hole as a teenager. Now my friend has a son who's a new shiny version of what I was, and I just want to shake some sense into him. My dad just left a 6-year relationship, his first long-term since losing my mom, because his partner wouldn't let her youngest son fail. He is my age, 30s. Alcoholic, bipolar, unemployed. Claims self-employed electrician but never works. At the last I knew, owed his mother close to $60,000. My dad walked when her son owed him almost $20K, and instead of him going to rehab, as my dad and his girlfriend had discussed and agreed upon, girlfriend moved her son in with them. Last dad heard from real estate and girlfriend when asking for his money back. They have been evicted from rental, and she's bankrupt but still cuddling. Forget to put unmedicated next to bipolar because he insists he doesn't need them.